Welcome to Hearthstone for Noobs, everyone. This is Stone Areno, and we are currently doing Do You Believe in Magic? It is spell damage decks with basic cards, just to give you an idea of what the different classes have available to them. And like I said, it's going to be based around the spells that they have, the spell damage that they can do, and buffing those spells with minions that give that spell buff. If you watched the last part, we started off with the Mage. This time we're going to use the Druid. Now, there are some rules for making these decks that I'm sticking to, and one of them is no expansion cards, because you have to pay for the expansions unless you do like I did and save up 700 gold at a time to unlock each wing of each expansion. There's like 10 wings in total. Yes, I eventually grinded out 7,000 gold to do all of this. Obviously not all at once. It was like a week of grinding and then, unlock a wing and then do that again. But like I said, this is all about basic cards for people who are just starting out and don't really want to spend any money on the game. So we're going to stick to cards that are either available to you in the basic set or easily craftable. And you'll notice like some recurring themes besides the spell damage +1 minions, like certain cards that, like the Azure Drake that cost 100 to craft. If you don't have it, you definitely want this card. It's something that really gives a lot of decks that extra kick. Also, I'm going to try and focus on one epic card for each class as I go, because I've got an epic card or two for each class, and I wanted, some of them, like, I'm not going to have the optimal card to show you guys, but in the Druid, the epic card we're going to see is the Force of Nature, and this is a card that, is a staple in Druid decks. It combos with Savage Roar and allows you to do 14 damage on one turn. So if you can get a player down to 14 health, you can kill them using this combo as of turn 9, or possibly even earlier if you have an Innervate. Yeah, so anyway, like I said, all spells, as many spells as we can pack in, plus the ones that do damage, we're going to try and buff up as much as possible. We need a little bit of card draw, and we're always going to need a couple of other cards from the class that help make the deck work. Especially Druid, there isn't a huge amount of burst damage that he has, so we had to fill in the blanks, but we used typical Druid cards. Druid of the Claw is another card that if you don't have and you plan on playing Druid, you're going to want to make this card. It only costs 40, and you're probably going to want 2 of them, so you're going to want to dedicate 80 dust to that. Beyond that, we've got our standard basic cards that come with Hearthstone as you unlock it. The Ogre Majis, the Swipe, the Dalaran Mage. Savage Roar actually does come with the set. Kobold Geomancer. Naturalize is not. Moonfire is, and Innervate is. These come, when you start playing and unlock your character, you're going to have all these cards available to you. Anyway, let's get into it. I've reset myself at rank 20 on the ladder again, and hopefully we're going to do some reasonable amount of damage with the Druid deck. Now, in the last video, I said that if I lost 3 games, I would stop playing, which we'll stick to that as well, just in case. But I also said I was going to play until I lost 3 games, and it just so happened with the Mage deck that we really crushed people pretty hard. So we went 6-1 and ended the video. I'm going to try and keep it to around an hour, if possible, less. And some videos are going to be quicker anyway, just because the games aren't going to be great in our favor. Spell damage doesn't really work for every class that well, and you're going to have to, figure out from watching this video series which ones you think might be fun to play with. Now, Innervate's an important Druid card because you get 2 mana crystals this turn only extra. So, for example, we could play Azure Drake on turn 3. We're not going to keep the Azure Drake, and we're not going to keep the Swipe, because we want our early game sort of bursts and stuff just to deal with the small things. Of course, if we don't draw early game, we have Innervate to get something out quickly. So we could play Ogre Magi on turn 2, and that's actually probably a really solid play because he can't really deal with a 4-attack minion, unless he Shrinkmeisters and Shadow Word Pains, but that costs at least 3 mana with the coin. It looks like he might use the coin here if he hasn't got a Northshire Cleric. No, okay, so let's get started. This is a big threat to have on the board immediately, and if he had played a minion that had up to 2 health, we could have just killed it with Moonfire. Enter. Some interesting card backs. It's always funny when they take a long time on turn 2. It's like, what are you thinking about, bro? Shadow form, so he's instantly going to go shadow form. He now can't heal himself. His hero power has gone from do 2 health to deal 2 damage, and he can't unshadow form. So this game just got a lot easier for us in some ways. Now Moonfire, I could hit him in the face, but right now we're going to just save this as sort of small removal. They say that Shadow Form is a hard card to play as a priest because you really do rely on your hero power for healing, you know, and you have to have a fairly aggressive deck and have little bits of extra healing here and there. Okay. No point in swiping yet, so we're going to go ahead and kill this. We don't need any threats on the board. And continue pushing. Next turn is going to be great for Azure Drake. Unless something really weird happens, that's probably going to be the play. And that's his whole turn, and now he has... he obviously plans on killing this on the next turn. But now he's got another 4/4 to deal with. Possible Holy Nova with planning on killing this off on the next turn. No, he's got the Oknai combo, so he's going to play Circle Healing now. Yep. And because she makes things negative instead of positive health-wise, it actually is a way to clear the board. Now see, when you play this card, you get to choose one. You get a +2 health for a 4/6 minion with Taunt, or you get Charge, a 4/4 charge. And I think we're going to just set up the Taunt. If he doesn't manage to get through it on this turn, then we'll be able to protect for a turn as we develop the board. See, when she's in play for the priest, she also makes the hero power do 2 damage, but he doesn't need it right now. He should have another Shadow Form in his deck. If you're playing one, you kind of should probably play 2 because it then will make your hero power do 3 damage, and that's really hard to deal with. Okay, this looks like a good spot for a swipe, but we're not really going to get much value out of it, considering that we haven't got any extra spell damage on board. So how do we want to play it? I'm worried about playing a bunch more minions just because he probably has another circle of healing. And if this dies while she's alive, then it does 5 damage to me instead of giving 5 health to me. These are all considerations we have to think about. So I think we're going to, actually we are going to swipe. We're going to swipe this, which will kill her, and then we're going to finish it off with this. And that keeps this thing from actually doing any extra damage to us. And considering he can't heal himself, we've taken a pretty reasonable lead. It's quite possible he has a heal bot in here. It's a 5 mana minion with 3 health and 3 attack, and it gives you 8 health when you play it. That's its battle cry. Somebody running Shadow Form probably wants that in their deck. Noyatron. Okay. Well, that doesn't really present much of a problem for us. Question is, what's the most efficient way to play the turn? I think it's really going to be this. And we can just pop the Noyatron, get rid of his shield. And now we have a pretty decent threat on the board. And helps buff our spell damage. So now our swipes are bigger. 2 across the board plus 5 to something is pretty solid for 4 mana. anything crazy comes out, then we can silence it with Keeper of the Grove. This is another staple Druid card, and it's something that if you're playing Druid, you're going to seriously want to consider crafting. In fact, you're going to want two, just like the Druid of the Claw and the Azure Drake. So that's 6, that's 480 dust right there, plus you want this. So you're looking at 880 dust to put the basic building blocks into your Druid, just to get it moving. Oh, I would have liked a Kobold Geomancer there, but that's okay. So we pop that down to killable range. We're going to swipe and go ahead and punch him. And he should basically be considering conceding right now, because I don't see a lot he can do. I mean, he can play a heal bot, get back to 20, but he's going to have to find ways to kill my board, and this is his big problem right now. It's really hard to deal with. If we draw Savage Roar at any point, we have the combo, and right now it's just worth 6 damage that we can do. So really, we have lethal, including this card, if he doesn't clear anything off the board or heal. Or put up an Annoyatron that stops me from getting through right away. We'd be close though. Oh, well, we can play Naturalize. And we're definitely going to naturalize that now, so let's see what we get out of this. Okay. So let's get rid of this thing, see what we get. We're going to play one of those anyway. And just in case he's got another Ogni Soul Priest Circle of Healing combo, I'm not entirely sure we saw both of those. We're going to go ahead and do it this way. Actually, we're going to charge. And then he is very close to dying. He's going to need to play 2 heal bots right here. Get him back up to 20 health. Light Bomb, that's a card we'll be highlighting in our priest deck. And that'll do it. Because we actually can do 2, 4, 6, plus one of these is 8, clears that, and then 2 more makes 4. So let's take it away. Not a point of damage taken. I mean, yeah, we took a couple little hits, but we end the game on full health. That's pretty solid. Okay, so that's 1 win for the Druid. I don't know if this is going to have the same success as the Mage deck, but I do feel like the Druid has enough interesting spells to keep us ahead in the game. Considering that we use pretty solid minions, once you hit turn 4 and you can get the Ogre Majik down, and then you get, the Azure Drake, and then you get the Archmage, and you've also got the Druids of the Claw. Like, it's pretty hard to mess with this deck already. And it's kind of might be more solid than the Mage deck in some ways because of the combo and the taunts that we have available to us. Okay, so we're playing a Hunter, as we saw in the last video. If it's a face Hunter, we're dead, most cases. But at rank 20, it's unlikely unless he just built this deck. So we're throwing that back because we won't need it right now. And we're going to keep the Innervate and the Wrath because that's good early game removal. And we're going to keep the Ogre Magi because basically we can play this card on our first turn with Innervate and the coin. And then just hope he hasn't got something to remove it right away. If he doesn't, then we're going to take a pretty big lead like we did against the Priest. This is a Hunter, just like the Priest situation he was in before. The Hero Power does 2 damage, but he has no way of healing. So unless he's got some strange healing cards in his deck, because Hunters mostly don't run healing, we should be pretty firmly in the lead after this. He's going to need Deadly Shot on the next turn, basically, to just wipe off this card. Look at that. See, Wrath is a great card already, and then when you get it buffed, you can do 2 damage and draw a card. That's pretty solid. Uh-oh. So I think we're going to get see... no explosive trap yet. But he's either going to... No, I'd say he's probably setting up for it. He just doesn't have it yet. Wow. So giving us a free turn 3 and allowing to get this out on turn 4 is going to be pretty big. And if he plays anything funky, we can silence it. This lead turn 3, we've already done 10 damage. Okay, so we can Wrath it for 4. We can silence it and push through. We can naturalize it. Let's just use like all of our burn. We'll do that. And then we'll kill it. And then he'll quit. 14 damage, turn 4. Boy is in trouble. We're almost at the point where Force of Nature will be a kill shot on its own. What are you thinking about, Mr. Hunter? You must have, I was going to say, you must have something by now that'll kill it. That's a horrible waste and very unfortunate. He didn't need to use to waste the Hunter's Mark after all. But now that he's got rid of that, we'll just play another and try and make him sad.
Ready for action.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
Okay, so right now we see we can Starfall. That'll clear his board and push us through. And we can Starfire to do some serious face damage, but I think the obvious play here is Starfall. I feel like we missed a turn of damage when we lost that other ogre. He should be on 8 health. But he's got to realize right now that it's basically over. Well, that's good. He didn't get any buff from it. And had he played that first, that would have been a 4 attack and not a 3 attack right now. You got to read the card. See, gain +1 attack for each other beast you have. Not have in your hand, but have on the battlefield. This would have buffed that regardless, but he wanted to get it out first so that it gains the extra 1 damage permanently. Until I silence it. Yeah, exactly. See, he sees that I'm talking about this. Okay, so let's just kill that and draw a card. See, if we don't kill this, he can kill command kill this. But if we do kill this, he can kill command kill this. So let's just keep the pressure on. Next turn, we should win. But I imagine he's got another taunt or 2 in here. We've seen a Goldshire Footman, a Senji. There's a Deadly Shot. And Goldshire Footman, a Senji, and what was the other one? So we have 6 damage, we have 7 damage, or we can do 5 damage. We're going to do it like this, because then we have Naturalize. To get rid of the Yeti. And even though it puts a couple cards in his hand, and the King of Beasts, that was the other taunt. Even though it puts a couple cards in his hand, I really don't think it's going to give him any answers to stop us from killing him now. Plus, these guys can both drop 2 damage on his face, and that would be enough to kill him. So we win. It's going to take a miracle. Not quite a miracle. We're just going to silence that taunt. Go straight through. Make them think we top deck the answer. Alright, 2-0 with the Druid. Pretty sturdy deck. We're definitely using our magic minions, we're definitely using our spells, and we've got some good value out of them so far, so this looks like it's going pretty well. That deck was obviously a shambles, though. That guy kind of didn't know what he was doing, it seemed like, and the same thing with the priest before. I mean, okay, so I'm saying this deck's doing great, but to be honest and to be fair, we just played a couple of proper droolers, so I hope even if you guys are noobs that you are not playing like that. When you play a card, you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan for what you're going to do on the next turn. If you play something that affects a creature but doesn't kill it, you need to understand what that effect is and whether or not that effect is going to, really benefit you in the long run, or if you need to save that card with that effect for something else. And you saw that where the hunter gave the hunter's mark to my ogre magi. I don't give a fuck. So if you guys, have a way to say it that's the correct way, let me know, but I'm not really bothered about that. And yeah, so he gave the hunter's mark to it. That basically got rid of it, or basically put its health down to 1 from 4, but then he had no answers, no way to kill it for cheap, which is the point of using hunter's mark on something. I thought he was going to set up an explosive trap, which you'll see when we play our hunter games, but no, he just left it out there. It kept attacking him, and then he used deadly shot, which he could have used on it anyway when it was full health and done the exact same effect. And we don't want to be in that spot where we're just wasting spells and wasting, you don't want to use a naturalize on like an ooze. It's just almost never worth it unless that thing's about to kill you. So I'm thinking about setting up a swipe here. It's not going to be super effective, but it might do what we need it to do. On the other hand, we could just play this guy, and he's probably just going to get eaten by these 2 things. Okay, I want to be able to kill that. And because we can't see it, we need an area of effect spell. But we can't buff that spell yet. So what's the answer? See, if we swipe here, we're not really doing anything but saving 3 damage, and this is going to continue growing. And if we kill it, it just doesn't really help us a great deal. I think we're just going to play this and make him eat it, because it's a creature that's hard for him to deal with, so it's going to be something that he's going to want to probably just get rid of here. He's got enough cards in his hand, so I don't think he's worried about getting the card draw off the Northshire Cleric right now. I would imagine that these 2 things are going to trade into this, but we've been wrong before. He could give Power Word Shield to the Shade and use that to help kill it. The Shade will go from 5 to 1, and then he can heal it to 3. That's probably the better play if he has Power Word Shield in his hand. Nope, he's doing it that way. Okay. He's going to give it to the Cleric, so she doesn't die. Heal her and draw a card. And the question is, does he attack with the Shade? When you play Shade of Noxramas, you need to kind of be patient with it. Not like that, because now it's a target, now it's easily manageable. And we do want to get rid of it. So we're just going to go ahead and use the spell here. 3 damage. And we will punch him in the face. So we're not really behind, not as much as it might have looked or seemed, but we are going to have to start rolling out creatures at some point to get control of the board. And we haven't actually got the benefit of any buffs so far because we didn't draw any of our small spell damage creatures early. So we can't combo a swipe with one of our spell buffs right now, which would be great because they'll do 5 damage to this and 2 to that, and that's going to be pretty good. So we're going to put the body out now. And hope that he doesn't have an easy answer for it, and maybe he'll just ignore it and go face. He's obviously going to probably use 2 of his mana to heal the cleric and draw a card, although his hand's getting awfully full. Nope, he plays the Russian. This is from the Black Rock Mountain expansion, and it's a great card for slower decks, because as you can see, it reduced the cost of the cards in your hand by 1. So he has 7 cards in his hand. He just saved 7 mana for the rest of the game. Now my swipe is looking better. 5 to the main, 2 to the others. And then we can Moonfire. Okay. Moonfire for 2, right? And Wrath. Wrath for 2 as well. Interesting. That's it. We don't want that on the board anymore. If we can get rid of it, like I said, we want to take control of the board, and the priest has some buffing spells, so we didn't want to be in a game where we think, oh, we don't need to respect that little minion. We definitely need to respect anything he's doing right now, because it's time to take control back. And having this out here, unless he plays like Holy Fire, which he's not playing, really helps us right now. So he's got 6 cards. We could actually naturalize both those creatures and make him overdraw by 1, though. We'll have to have a think about this. Let's see. What I can play 8 mana. No, we're going to naturalize the Yeti. So we're going to silence this. We're going to naturalize the Yeti. I think we're going to kill the Sludge Belcher. Just in case something crazy comes out, we want to save one of these. If possible. You know, if you're facing like, a ton of damage and you don't know how to get rid of it, and that's pretty much your only answer, then, by all means, you don't want to be the one getting thrown back out of the game here. So if he had a Holy Smite, that's his best way of dealing with this, but, okay, Shadow Word Pain kills that. Arknights Soul Priest. Okay, so now that he has got her on the board, his power is deal 2 damage. And we almost want to keep her alive, except that, well, she could become a problem. We're going to take 1 turn and see what happens. I didn't want to put the Dalaran Mage out because we've seen already the Circle of Healing spell that does 4 damage across the board. And I don't want to just feed him an extra minion right now with the card advantage. And seems like he's got some momentum going and more health than us right now. So we kind of need to just play a little bit carefully and figure out what's sort of next. And play a bit of a reactionary game at this point, just to figure it out. So face. So he's constantly, like, when he kills this, the zombie chow. Like I said, we're gonna. Oh wow! So he's gonna instant do the 5 damage. That's pretty funny though. He's gonna just do that. Granted, I don't have any healing, so if he has like double mind blast, I'm done. He's just pouring it on. Now there are healing spells for the druid, but because we're focusing on spell damage, I haven't put any of those in there. Okay, we need to kill her now. And we need to play a taunt. And we need to beef the board up. And as much as that hurts to kind of take 3 when I only did 1, that's what we're going to do. If he has double Mind Blast, we're pretty much dead. But if he doesn't, or the other Aknai, Prophet Velen. Now he has Mind Blast for death. Yep. Prophet Velen's an awesome card, but hard to use effectively. Hard to fit into your deck well, and really only comes out when you're either really far ahead or really far behind. It's hard to get the full value out of him. There, yeah, he gives you a kill shot, but that's pretty rare. Unless you're focusing on using a deck to do that. So I was kind of like an aggressive priest. I probably could have naturalized the Akanai Soul Priestess before he Shadow Word Pained the Zombie Chow, which did an extra 5 damage to us and we might not have had to take. Having said that, I did not see a Prophet Velen Mind Blast coming out, so fair enough, good play. And we're now 2-1. Alright, it's Paladin. He plays a spell that makes 3 dudes, so we want to keep things that kill a lot of the board. Don't need that, and probably don't need that right now. We want Kobold Geomancer and Dalaran Mage. Innervate. Okay, so no point using the coin here. We're not going to coin out our hero power. That's probably one of the worst things you can do in the game is coin out your hero power when you have no further plan beyond that. Like your hero power is like you see mages do it a lot because occasionally their opponent will play something that's like a 2/1 minion for 1 mana, and their response is to coin out the hero power and kill it and maintain, keeping the board clear, which is perfectly reasonable. But most classes, if you see them coin out their hero power, it's kind of silly. Do we need to clear this? You know what? Yeah, because what we're going to do is we're going to draw. And I know it's a lot of it's 2 spells just to kill a stupid ooze, but keeps the board clear and allows me to draw another card and try and set up bigger plays as we move towards the mid game. Okay, that's a bit more manageable now. Let's play a dude. There you go. Play a dude. I can kill a dude. That's exactly what we're going to do. Now, in most Paladin games, and like I said this with the Mage previously in the last video, when they play a dude and your hero power is kill a dude, it's kind of best to do that and stay. You're going to stay on curve with them anyway. Every time they use 2 mana to make a dude, you can use 2 mana to kill a dude with Rogue and Druid and Mage. I think that's it. But because the Paladin has a lot of buffs in his deck and things like Blessing of Kings, where he gives it +4/+4, you don't need to be dealing with it after the factor, so you kind of want to get rid of it ahead of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're getting a nice full hand here. Not a lot has happened. We did have to use 2 spells on the ooze. We didn't have to, but I chose that way. I could have just done the Wrath for 3 and not taken the card draw, but I didn't know the game was going to go this slow through turn 5. And at the same time, look, we've got a nice full hand, and we've got the coin still, so I can actually play this if need be to remove something reasonable. Like, we can remove a lot of minions for 5 damage. That one, not such a problem. However, once again, it's the Druid, it's the Paladin, so we do have to worry about buffs a little bit. Question is, like, what would he plan on playing on the next turn? Do I want to use a swipe here and just get rid of these? I think we're going to see what he does, because the swipe is going to be a fine answer in most situations. And in other cases, he's probably just going to like load up the sword and trade through this. Hammer of Wrath. Oh, Holy Wrath. So how big are the cards in his deck if he's drawing and dealing damage like that? Okay. Well, now see, he uses an expensive spell there, a 5 mana spell, just to... Well, I suppose it's like an even trade, 5 for 5. He actually used an extra 1 mana to get it onto this. Okay, see, now we can do big swipe. Just with this little combo right here. So we're going to start instead by continuing to develop our board. He just used a reasonable amount of damage to kill the Druid of the Claw. Now this hasn't got a taunt. It's possible he's just going to buff this up and try and start pushing, but it's also likely that he could find a way to, use these to trade into it and still kill it. If not, now we got some real spell damage kicks because we can add in the Kobold and do like a really big swipe. So he should go face here if that's his play, but he might still have a blessing. There it is, Blessing of Kings. Does he want to kill this? That's the question. Is he gonna? No, he can't play another Divine Shield. Looks like he is killing the mage. Well, we could swipe, but it's not going to kill both things. And I definitely don't need to be hitting into this for the extra 1 damage. So we're going to silence it. It's a 2-3 without taunt now. And set up for the swipe. Because he doesn't have any reason or anything else really that's going to heal this, so now we can swipe something for 5, make sure this gets hit for 2. And this is why you've got to be planning ahead, knowing that you have a card that can buff it and that you can play it, that you're going to be able to get that kind of... So he might think, well, why is he doing that? Maybe so I can trade with the Keeper of the Grove. What would be ideal here now is if this thing either missed and hit this, save us some face damage. Otherwise, we're going to use a swipe on this, and it's going to go through these, and I'm going to trade him anyway. What does he have? Okay, that was kind of silly. Okay. Well, there you go. We take 2 damage and then clear the board. Can I get an Ogre Majik so I can have a better body on the board? No, sir. You cannot. That, though, pretty solid. And we have the combo. Okay, so like I said, when you play Savage Roar and Force of Nature, that gives you 14 attack. You get 3 4/2 Treants with charge, you get 2 attack added here, and then you would get 2 attack added to anything else you have on the board because that's the Savage Roar effect. So right now, if he doesn't kill this, we could actually do 18 damage on the next turn, but he's killing it. And we wouldn't use this combination until we're actually within range of killing him, or if for some reason we need to use it to clear a scary board.
Are you ready for this?
So he needs a little bit extra now to kill the Archmage. Even if he uses both of these, he's still going to need 1 more damage. And I can't think of how easily he could find that without just having a blessing to bring that up to 6, or at least a Blessing of Might to bring it up to 5. Then he still has to use both of those creatures. If he does have Blessing of Kings, then obviously the, what is this, the Squire will stay alive. That's a pretty good card. See, now we can kill it because he's got the 3 attack and the 4 attack. And he should definitely do that. So what we'd really like to not draw out is another spell damage minion, because then we can Starfire onto the Stormwind Champion. No, but we can use Moonfire as well, and that will do the same job. Hero power, kill the dude. And say, you know what, buddy? You're not gonna scare me with your Stormwind Champion. Now, at some point, I'm sure I will make a deck to show you guys that actually use a Stormwind Champion, and hopefully we'll get some really good examples of how to use them effectively. It really depends on what class you're playing against, what kind of spells they have that can remove him, but at the same time, you want to use him at times when you're going to buff like maximum creatures. And I suppose that one wasn't too bad because he had 2 other creatures whilst he had the Stormwind out, and I did just happen to have an answer. And now he thinks that I've used my answers, he's going to, kind of go all in a bit more on me here. Now we can actually use Starfire and coin Starfall, but this thing will grow. It'll have 1 health, but it'll have 4 attack. You know what? This thing can't live right now. It's just too healthy, and I don't want to use Naturalize yet. I've got 2 of them in hand, and even though this is a basic Paladin deck, there's always the likelihood that he could have the Paladin Legendary Tyrian Fordring, and that is something that you want to be able to kind of deal with pretty quickly, or he will really fuck your day up. Stormwind Champ number 2. Well, these might be the top end of his deck. And this one's definitely, certainly worthy of a Naturalize, although it would be really nice if I could pull. Well, I'm not going to get a spell buff and a swipe, so swipe's really no good here. Okay.
I must safeguard the land.
Once again, we clear his board. This time we have something on ours. And we actually are moving through our decks now pretty seriously. You'll notice some games are over very quickly, and other ones, the ones that tend to stretch a bit further, generally get really, really far. Okay, Murlocs. have gone quite well with Stormwind Champion. He could have had a really big turn if he was still alive. Unfortunately, I'm a mean bastard and I ain't leaving stuff like that out. Oh god, I'm just going to starfall this board so hard here. It's almost mean.
I must move quickly. Reporting for duty.
Swipe. Swipe. Give me swipe. We really would prefer swipe here because it's better value. And now he's just basically roping me out of frustration. Okay, so 23 health. Now we have to start counting lethal again. Savage Roar plus Force of Nature gives us 14 between these and us, 14. And then we have another 6, that's 20, plus another 2 for each one of those, which would make it 4 more, 24. So unless he heals or taunts or kills one of these, we have lethal. And if he taunts, we can just naturalize things. That's it. That's his turn. We win. Watch just Defender of Argus. Oh, humility. Okay, so now 14, 17, 21. Well, now we're going to hold off. For so many reasons. Starting with, you don't want to use this combination unless you have to, as I said earlier, unless you know you're going to kill them. Paladin is a good example of a class that's extra hard to kill because he's got a lot of healing capabilities in his deck, and if you run into that healing after almost killing them, you can end up spending, having spent that, it's going to be hard to get back in the game if they take the beating and then start healing back and developing their board again. Now we win, for sure. Just use all our cards. 12, 20, 30. Let's kill that as well. Wreckage. Alright, so we're 3-1. 3-1. Pretty much the same place we were at with the mage last time, but we didn't get the win streak this time off the 3 games. So as you can see, instead of being at rank 19 with 1 star and then going back down, we're really like it's 1 star behind where you would be if you won 3 and then lost 1. But if you're at rank 19 with 1 star and you lose a game, you stay at rank 19 with no stars. But that's the same as having 3 stars at rank 20, but it just shows up differently. It shows you as a rank 19.
Your soul shall be mine. I must protect the wild.
Okay. Warlock. We might need this guy, but otherwise I think we're just going to get rid of everything, hope to pull a swipe. There's a Wrath and Innervate. Okay, this is actually pretty good. Because it's rank 20, it's highly likely this Warlock is like a Zoolock, which means it's going to play a lot of creatures, a lot of small creatures fast. So in order to start getting the board in our favor, we're going to put out a 2-4. That trades well with anything he drops early, and it gives us a card draw. And now we have a couple little spells also to help us control things to come out. So he Soulfires her and loses the Doomguard. That is the worst discard for this guy, really. Like, you'd rather play the Doomguard and lose the Soulfire when you play the Doomguard. But because he decided early that he wanted to get rid of her, it cost him the Doomguard. And that really takes 50% of the real punch out of his deck, because he's going to have 2 of those, but those are the guys that get it done. They've got 5 attack and 7 health, and they're really going to push through things pretty seriously. Okay, let's take a card. And because I have 2 4-drops coming up, I'm going to use my coin. And we're just going to get rid of everything here. I'm still saving Moonfire, because since it costs 0, I can play on the same turn I play anything that caps the mana cost, and still get to use it. So we're going to just keep that as a little surprise in case we need it. He's tapping, he's probably not playing a card. Yep, okay, cool. Now we are seriously threatening him. Trying to think of what cards he might play on this turn. Turn 5 is the Ancient Watcher. I think that's what, Floating Watcher, but it would die to my Ogre, so he probably doesn't want to play that. The other Soulfire, what's he lose? Kel'Thuzad. Okay, that's a huge card for him. He's lost 2 really, really big cards. If you haven't played this game very much and you haven't seen the Noxramas expansion, this is the final boss, I believe, and it's also the last legendary card you get from unlocking that expansion. And his, you can't read the text, but it says, at the end of your turn, summon all minions that died this turn. So anything that died gets to come back for free. So you can kill things into their creatures and clear their board, and then yours all get regenerated. So when somebody has Kel'Thuzad out and you don't have a way to answer it, that's normally the game. Okay, so here's a great spot for the Moonfire. Just because it cost him 3 health to play that thing, and then he doesn't get any use out of it. I think he was hoping I'd trade the Kobold. And now we're really starting, we haven't got a lot of damage on board, but we're starting to push him down. He's tapping, and we're hitting for a little bit every time. I mean, that's going to cost him 5 health if he taps, to get hit by both of these, and me. So it's going to cost him 6 health a turn. Oh, he's got some legendaries. See, Hogger was fun. I had him for a while. I ended up disenchanting him to make other cards. Okay, Starfall is kind of huge. Unnecessarily huge, but you know what? Screw it. This is just how you push. I can still draw a swipe, and I still have no Starfall. But at this point, keeping the momentum going is just part of it. He's lost Kel'Thuzad, he's lost a Doomguard, he's now lost Hogger. He's not going to have a huge amount of answers left. I can't imagine. It's possible he has something like a Sylvanas in this deck, but I think we're just so far ahead right now it doesn't really matter. Okay, he's got the Dark Bomb, and then Mortal Coil. Okay, so this is a good spot to silence that. And I think we're just, do I want to really go for it here? 2, 3, plus 4, 7, we'll put him down to 6 health. Nah, I'm not going to be greedy. We've got the Naturalizes in hand, so we'll kind of work it down to where we can clearly see victory, which is next turn if he doesn't kill anything. That's not going to happen. He's going to kill some stuff, but 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we could do it on the next turn if for some reason he ignored these things. But he's got to kill the 2/1 at least. Dark Bomb? Oh, Hellfire. Okay, so we win. We were winning anyway, but we win more by virtue of that because he doesn't appear to have any efficient healing in his deck right now. And now we're going to get a free creature. And when we charge out with this, he's not even going to be able to tap the next turn. In fact, he's down to 1 health, so swipe will do it on the next turn if he doesn't just concede here. But he has nothing that can heal him up enough to stay safe now. He could play an antique healbot and well, let's see, an antique healbot and an ascension, and that'll put him up to 9 health, but we still push directly through it. Unfortunately, that's not enough, buddy. Bam. So now we're 4-1 with a Druid deck. Not too bad. We're going on probably about 40 minutes so far, 35, 40 minutes. So these games generally take a little bit longer than the mage games we were playing. I probably am going to end it after the next game. If we lose, I might be a little salty. I might have to play one more just to prove that this deck is better than it is bad, you know, like by a reasonable amount. But I think you guys are kind of getting the gist of how this deck works and how spell damage is actually a pretty cool buff for the Druid class. Alright, this is a shaman. And their hero power is to make a 0/2 totem 3 out of 4 times, and a 1/1 totem the other time. So what we'd really like is to pick up another cheap spell damage minion, so that we can efficiently swipe his boards as they sort of develop. Now if he was to coin hero power here, this is an example of where it would probably be bad. But it might be Whirling Zap-O-Matic, and for him that would be really good. And it is. So I don't have an instant answer. I can innovate a way to kill it. But I don't think that that is the best way. Here's the thing. This card has Wind Fury. So it's going to do 6 damage to me on the next turn. And he has a card called Rockbiter Weapon, which gives a friendly character +3 attack for the turn. So he can make it a 6/2 and do 12 damage this turn. So I'm going to naturalize it for cheap. And that moves us towards like a more valuable swipe or starfall or something like that, if need be. If for some reason he was able to really push cards out, but that's not going to happen now. I'm not really getting any minions yet. And that's the problem about a deck that has a lot of spell power in it, a lot of different spells, a lot of things that, you know, you want to do stuff with. You're going to be hurting for minions, and you need to find a way to balance your deck well that gives you enough minions to make sure you've got some to play. I mean, you've seen games with these decks where you've seen me have, like, you know, 4 or 5 minions of the higher costing ones, and then not getting the spells I really need, but really that doesn't happen as often. I don't want to use my swipe here, but I kind of feel like I have to. Innervating this out is kind of... You know what we're going to do? Since we're going to use Innervate, we're going to use one of our spells and draw a card. And just keep cycling our deck.
Where shall I strike?
Now normally I would play this as a 4/6 with taunt, but he probably has the Hex spell, which he's going to use on it in most cases. Now using it this way means that he can use a lightning bolt to kill it, but I figure rather than playing it and having it get hexed, it's better to play it and do some damage with it first, because it still requires him to deal with it. And now he's thinking, how do I want to deal with this? Crackle. That's better than lightning bolt because it's as you can see, it can hit for more. Okay, we might have to use a swipe here. It'd be really nice if I pulled out a kobold. Keeper. I like this play better. Makes these so they can't hurt me and keeps him drawing cards, which I kind of want him to do. Just for the sake of it, we're going to kill that. Negate his spell damage buff, for now at least. And I kind of want to force him to draw because, you know, you can see he's using spells that overload. He's not going to be able to use all his mana on each turn. And right now, you know, at the mid part of the game, he's getting a pretty full hand. If I can hit my other naturalize, I might take advantage of him having too many cards in his hand and try and burn some of his other cards off. Like if he played one here, like a Yeti, and then he draws a card, he draws into 9, and then I play naturalize, fills his hand up, burns a card off, and then he would draw a card which would also burn off. So burning 2 of his cards probably wouldn't be too bad. Doom Hammer. It's hammer time. And he's going to take 4 damage from this to kill it, which is pretty good. That used all his mana. He's going to draw a card. I haven't had my Grove Tender yet. That'd be pretty fun. Okay, that's not it. Definitely playing the Majik. He might take 2 hits from again, but I doubt it. I don't think we need to kill this. We could kill it, but should we kill it? Yeah, let's kill it. Just in case. Just in case he plays another one of those and it, you know, gets the buff and now it can attack, or he wants to give it the rock biter weapon. And I mean, he's probably going to do that for this just so that it doesn't keep drawing cards for him. And when we play the Shaman deck, you're going to see the Doomhammer and you're going to see the Manatide Totem. So hopefully I'll be able to use them pretty effectively without stuffing my hand up too much and without taking too much face damage. This is a good weapon where you can, you know, you've got Wind Fury, you get to attack twice. So if you use Rockbiter weapon onto this, you get to attack twice for 5. Wow, Stormpike Commando. Pretty sad. Pretty sad that that's his answer. And it's all his mana again. So now he has 10 cards and he will burn one off on the next turn. I'm going to hit him in the face. Oh, beautiful. Keep the pressure on. I can afford to take the damage from this right now. I can afford to take the damage from this. Oh, wow, he lost the Emperor. See, that's a great spot. This is why you want to try and burn cards off when you get the opportunity. You don't want to waste really efficient removal just doing it for the sake of doing it every time. But when you know you can keep doing it, or you know you're going to get rid of a couple of cards and you know you want to mess somebody's hand up, it is great. Look at this. Okay, so if you damage a Grim Patron without killing him, he will summon another Grim Patron. So we need to make sure whatever we do does 3 damage to this guy at least. This is going to be so fun. Hold on now. Swipe might have been the better option, but I think that because Swipe can be targeted on his face, and I wanted to make sure his whole board was clear, that was the better play. If we had swiped him in the face, then his Dalaran Mage would have been on 1 health, and I'm not exactly sure what he's planning on using that for to buff with, because we've seen kind of a random deck so far, I would say. But it's better just to get rid of it. Like, if we've got weak bodies, we don't want him to have any bodies. The question is, does he have healing? Look at all those taunts. Where's my Starfall? Why? I'm actually going to swipe one of these. Just because it uses all of my mana. And I want to make sure that if there was 2 of these on the board, it'd be way easier to kill this, and I don't need that right now, because now we can kill him. In most cases, if he doesn't heal or put up more big taunts, we're going to kill him. In fact, we could handle one more taunt, like a medium-sized taunt, if he doesn't kill that, but he is killing that. But if he hits it now, he's got to use the wolf. There you go. And no taunt. That's all I ask, no taunt. We still win. Even if he got a little taunt totem, we would have been able to hit that with our hero power using these. And, yep, that'll do it. So again, MVP of the Druid deck, Force of Nature, Savage Roar. And if you weren't convinced yet about how good these card combos are, that'll help. Okay, so there you go. 5-1 with the Druid. I think we've illustrated pretty well the work that he can do with the spell damage buffs and some of the spells that the Druid's going to use. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Until then, be lucky in your adventures, and I hope you smash everyone's faces in.